Welcome everyone to Wednesday Night Live. Tonight's show is being shared across a few personal Facebook pages. The reason we're doing this is to help those outside our community understand why we fight to keep this life-changing product available to the future smokers as an alternative to quitting smoking. So those watching tonight that are non-vapers that have questions, please ask away. We'll answer any question you guys have out there. If you have statistics or some scientific studies you want to discuss, we're here. We can answer your questions. God, that was hard getting out. Now I got lost. Yeah, just ask away. This product has worked for and has helped millions worldwide, and we want to share our knowledge with you guys. Also joining us tonight is Nathanial Rogers, a.k.a. Captain Nasty. Welcome, guys. And Cloud Queen. Don't
forget her.
How did I not notice you sitting there this whole time? Oh my God. You were so quiet, I guess. I just looked and I go, there was somebody sitting there, but it didn't register.
Dude, she's been sitting there for the last 20 minutes.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I didn't even notice. If I get any of these wrong, correct me, Nathan. Captain Nasty, he is the co-host of Vape Radio. Correct. Are you the co-founder of Your Favorite Homies? Are you part?
Yeah. Queen and I founded Your Favorite Homies together. It's just something we do to bring the community together and just to bring our friends and our family closer to each other.
He's also a huge advocate for vaping, so we want to welcome you, Nathaniel, and Cloud Queen with us there, right there. She is there. She's not a figment of my imagination. She's right there.
Not an apparition.
Yeah, not an apparition.
Real.
She's real.
Real.
She's real. And let me not forget my amazing co-host, my team here, Tim Swift, Brian Power, and the milkman himself, Tom Harding. Welcome. Madison. Madison. I was correct. Madison, I think, will be joining us. I don't know. Did anybody get a DM back from her yet?
I just saw her pepper picture before the show at some point, not long before the show started.
Yeah, she'll be jumping in. She'll jump in here pretty soon. So hopefully she's got a pretty interesting story, and it's about Amazon and weed. So I'm kind of curious. I didn't get a chance to. Yeah, those two just work together.
Who would have thunk it?
Who do they work together? They work together. Amazon and weed go together like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, right. Let's start off with the guy in the middle. You almost look like you're in hell with all that red.
Well, I mean, with everything going on in the advocacy world.
Red. Go red. Yeah. Go red.
Yeah.
Tom, how's your week going? And before you get into it, I saw your picture of your bow and arrow.
Ah, yes.
But you didn't get close enough for me to see if you've gotten better.
Yes, I have gotten better.
Okay, you've gotten better. You're actually hitting the board now.
Yes. I was last
no, he hit it before, but
they were all over on one side. Now they're all right where they're supposed to be. Hey, everybody in chat. Why are you giving me the finger, John? What the hell?
He was taking a drink, so he's telling you to talk.
Oh, well, I don't know sign language. My week's been going pretty good. Still waiting on my wheeler. I did go out on a trail ride with some friends Sunday. That was a blast. Yes, Luke, John is old. He's so old, Jesus was his valedictorian.
Yeah, it was.
And hi to Nathaniel and Cloud Queen.
Hello.
And that's all I got.
That's all you got? That's good.
Profound.
Short and sweet.
Very profound.
Yeah. Brian, how's your week going there, buddy? That's good.
Not too bad.
That's good.
I had the last 2 days off, and so I get to screw around other things. And back tomorrow, and yeah, so far so good.
Good, nice. And Timmy.
Yeah, me? Oh,
Yeah.
You're talking to me. I'm doing good, man. No, I mean, life is back in order. Things are working the way that they should. And today I stumbled across a really cool thing. So the place where I work, we don't sell Mahjong tables, but for some reason the owner of the business sells Mahjong tables.
Oh.
And I only thought Mahjong came in the form of like Microsoft games that were hidden on your computer, and then you would sit there and play mindlessly for hours with Mahjong. I didn't realize that Mahjong was actually a real game. Almost like cards. Anyhow, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is the Mahjong table is it's like a four-seater, and the tiles are like these massive, huge plastic blocks. And then when the game is kind of over and it's time to sort of shuffle the blocks, you press a button in the middle of the table, and this thing pops up in the middle of the table, and you push all of the little Mahjong blocks into the hole, and then you push the button again, and when it goes down, the other set is arranged already in stacks, and then it pops up through the table, and like they're already boom. They just it's kind of like a concert riser. It just whoop and just rise up, and they're right there on the table, all perfect, ready for you to go. And so I've decided that I want one.
That's right.
No, Tim.
Here it is. Okay, so you press the button, right? And let's pretend the game's over. So you push all the blocks into the middle. Just for this reason alone, I want one. I don't even care about the fucking game.
I wonder
Then
how
you
that
press-
would work with dominoes.
You press the button again, and blam. Who wouldn't want one now?
I thought that was the coolest little thing when I saw that video. I go, that's pretty freaking cool.
Right?
Kind of reminded me of your little cigarette thingy.
Yeah, it
Ice
did.
cream sandwiches, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I did think that was food at first myself.
It would have been cool. Yeah, it would have been cool if it was food. But
Did you get your truck back, Tim?
yeah, I've had the truck back for well over a week, almost 2 weeks now.
Did they put new carpet in your office?
Yes, I have new carpet
Well,
in my
I was
office.
going to ask that. You're mentioning about your boss with the table and stuff, but I thought you got fired from the job
So did I.
or quit.
No, all right. So FYI, no, I didn't get fired. So we had to empty all of our offices in order to prepare for the new carpeting to go in. So at the end of the day, after I emptied my office, I thought, it's pretty boring if I just post a picture of an empty office and I just tell everybody that I had to empty my office to get ready for carpeting. So I took like a before and after picture. I took a picture of like my office with all the shit in it, and then I took a picture of my office with it totally cleaned out with like nothing left in the room. And I just put up and I said, consequences. When they get rid of you, they get rid of you. And then I just left it. I didn't answer. I didn't respond. And I just let everybody have at it. And then I waited like maybe in like 20 minutes. And then I posted, I said, you can't fire me. I quit. And then I just let everybody, I drove home, like a 40-minute drive home. I didn't answer any posts. And like people are DMing me. They're like, dude, did you really lose your job? And I'm like, no, I had to get ready for carpet. But I'm like, I'm not going to post some boring ass picture of an empty office. So yeah, sorry everybody on my Facebook page. No, I didn't lose my job.
Tim didn't get fired.
It was a
He's
joke.
just trolling everybody.
It was a joke. I was trolling.
And our guest, Nathaniel and Cloud Queen, how's your week going? How's everything?
Everything's awesome. It's super good. I mean, I'm kind of in the boat with like focused on vape right now and trying to save a little bit of what's left. And, saving face isn't really what we're doing at this point. I think that like the mainstream media got the upper hand and kind of beat us all up. Now we're just trying to save some businesses that, these people put their life savings into something that they believed would be the next step in saving the world. And let's be real, it's as simple as that. We can go into definition, but what people really need to know is this product's supposed to help save the world.
Yeah.
And we're fighting for it right now in America when, there's countries that promote it pretty wisely. Other than that, we've been caking it, having a good time. Just
That's
staying
it.
with
Well, like our whole goal with Vape Radio is to just like be that escapism, but also informational, but not to try and like keep it heavy and depressed. So like we do our best to just like, all right, so what's the positive things going on in the world today? So that's kind of what we focus on mostly.
We try. We try. Yeah, we try. We try to get Tim to get one good feel good story out there. They're hard to find.
It's exhausting trying to find one.
Understandable.
How is it in your area as far as your city councilman and your mayor? Are you guys having the same issues some of the other smaller cities are having?
Honestly, not really. So in Colorado, where we just moved from
Right.
last year, Amanda Wheeler's out there. We've been running with the Rocky Mountain Smoke Free Alliance, Mon Vaughn, and a bunch of big heads out there. Really, strong people. And we were fighting like crazy, tooth and nail. It was coming down to cities and counties and the state, and it was just everywhere you looked, somebody was pulling something on you. We come out here to Ohio, and big props to James Jarvis and the OHVTA guys.
Mhm.
They have been holding their own this whole time, with and without support from others. We come up here and come to find out, vaping's pretty accepted in the state of Ohio. I mean, the medical cannabis world wants you to vape and not smoke. It's actually a law that you cannot smoke, but they promote the vaping of it. A little bit of taxing. It's kind of hard finding cheaper product that's from outside of the state.
Yeah,
is
they
darn
want
near
you.
impossible.
They want you to keep it in state in order.
In state, yeah.
Just a super big tax when it crosses the border, So a lot of big little manufacturers trying to help out with that and just trying to cover the state themselves, So
That's sort of what Utah does, correct? The state of Utah keeps everything within the house, so it has to be manufactured. How's their law go again? I know they got a funny one. You can't order online or ship into Utah, but if it's made in Utah, you can purchase the vape equipment or vape e-liquid within the state of Utah, as long as it's something. So they're trying to keep it easier for them to tax it and make sure they're getting their cut. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ohio's still capable of ordering from out of state. It's just going to cost an arm and a leg to do that.
Yeah, and
Right.
you've got some of the bigger brands that are being manufactured by some smaller manufacturers to kind of help with that, since it's being manufactured in the state. So, but yeah, I mean, vaping, it's strong. It's good. The vape shops don't seem to be taking much of a hit. The normal thing that we all went through with the epidemics and all this stuff and yada yada. It's unfortunate. But when it comes to walking into a vape shop, education's a big thing. I think that's one of our hardest opportunities we have right now, because we're walking into vape shops and we're asking them if they understand what's going on. And what are you talking about? I got to call who for what? Wait, they're going to tax us? Oh, that's okay. Oh, wait, you mean they're going to tax us $100? No, that's not okay.
Right.
What do I got to do? So,
have you had a chance to go through some of the shops there in Cleveland, in your area? And are they advocating like they should be within the shops as customers come in, or
no?
Well, and that kind of goes with what he was just saying.
I hate to say it,
I feel like they would be if they even knew what was going on. They don't. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people on the ground doing that. Advocacy work like there used to be, to where a lot of people know what's up and know what numbers to call and know how to fight. I don't know if people just stop paying attention.
Well, I think you can identify it across the value of, if you have a small shop, maybe it's 1 or 2 stores in the state or something, and the owner, his wife, his family, something like that, they run and operate it. You see a lot of advocacy inside of those, but it's the guys who, they hired a manager, they've got a sales team. Really, they're not sending out emails. There's no kind of advocacy direction, no newsletter, weekly newsletters to help support them, So, but that's what we do. That's our job. That's what we get the pleasure of doing for the vape industry. We walk into these shops and we promote and advocate and activate, and we get it going.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about the other day, is how everybody uses email to communicate with each other these days. And I don't understand. Maybe it's just the shops don't want to ask their customers for their email, but I think that'd be a great way for shops to keep a track of their customers, and also keep them up to date on advocacy. Because instead of just having that form sitting in the shop, where hopefully somebody picks it up and reads it, because a lot of times, let's be honest, the sales guy's trying to make the sale. He's not going to go, oh, by the way, hey, why don't you read this? This is what's going on. But collecting email addresses in shops, I think, is a great idea and a great way for the shop to do their sales things, and also pitch what's going on with CASA and what's going on throughout the nation. I don't understand why more shops don't do that.
It's it can become an uncomfortable situation when somebody just wants their nicotine and they're on their way to their bartending shift and they're hungover on top of it. It's not really the time or the moment that they want to hear about advocacy. So I think it's a training opportunity that a lot of people can take. Looking at public speakers like Amanda Wheeler, she's getting out there at the world platform and she's speaking so professionally. That's somebody I want to put in front of my consumer and customers and have her explain, because she's got the compassion, the knowledge. It's really there. It's a training opportunity.
Yeah, I think it would be good for shops to do that. I mean, let's be honest. There's always downtime in any shop you're in, and you got a guy just standing around. He can just get on over there, copy some links, paste them, send out a mass email, and be done with it. And at least maybe once a week or once every other week, I think would be a good idea. Let's talk about you now. We love hearing about vape journeys, and that's what this show's all about. So tell us a little bit about how you got started and in vaping, your first device, the first e-liquid you tried, and the big question, how did you get the name Captain Nasty?
Oh, God. The name Captain Nasty is an evolution of multiple nicknames from when I was a youngster. So starting out there, Captain Nasty just evolved from, let's see, I was Nasty Ninja Nate at one point in my life. And it has gone all the way through. So I was a sponsored snowboarder. I grew up snowboarding. Really didn't care about much else. Didn't even care about school at the time. So I was about maybe 23 or so, 22, I don't know, sometime in there. I got hurt a few times really bad and just couldn't snowboard anymore. So ended up taking what I had known from snowboarding, working with companies, being sponsored, promoting, manufacturing, selling, everything I learned at corporate levels, all the way down to like the mom and pop ski shops with coffee bars inside of them, I took all of that and I brought it over to vaping. So when I got into vaping, it all started with me and Sarah having a kid. Queen and I needed something that could get us away from cigarettes, so that way we could make a life impression for our child.
We definitely had a hard time. We smoked. I remember as soon as I got back from the hospital, I was not smoking throughout pregnancy, and as soon as I had the baby, I was like outside, like I can't wait. And it was like it had been months, and I still hadn't mentally quit. And it was our wedding anniversary. We decided to spend money, and I know that's what you bought for me. And I remember telling you guys that last time I was on the show that it was a
my ex
commitment to each other and our kid.
Yeah, my ex-wife did the same thing. As soon as she had that baby, that was the first thing she did. She went outside and she had a cigarette. I was like, "What are you doing?"
It's so crazy. It's it's so sad because when I was a child, I used to beg my mom not to smoke.
Yeah.
And then high school came into play, and I started stealing cigarettes from her.
Yeah.
It's just the way the mentality kind of totally changes when you stop. You start focusing on too much in life and stress and anxieties, and they got us. So. Before we got Queen her device and we both decided and we went straight into it, we dabbled in like the little e-cigs you could get from the kiosk, stuff you bought at the tobacco store, little 10 ml bottles of just the thinnest, crappiest liquid. Made your eyes burn when you sat in a vape out of it. Didn't even present much of a vape.
24 milligrams.
It didn't work. It was just crap. It wasn't something. It was something that appealed to me. I thought it was gonna work, but it just didn't get what it was. I was kind of shooting in the dark out there. Finally, we had a friend who was like, "Yo, you got to try this. I make my own liquid. I do this. I build my own coils." I'm like, "Dude, well, hold on. Tell me about the build your own coils, the devices, And he started telling me it's expensive, but I could show you what we do, and that's when people were like bleaching their own cotton balls.
I remember that. Yeah.
Right? And my buddy Corey Shane, man, with Alpine Liquid, e-liquid, out of Colorado, he got me into this sub-ohm vaping and showed me a whole world that I didn't even know existed when I was out there just shopping it as a normal consumer at the, stores. I don't know, dual used on that for a little while and then got Queen one. And at that point, when Queen was doing one and I was doing one, and we had no one with a pack of cigarettes around the house, no one, we both just went in. She started finding social media to get a part of, started seeing the cool things happening with the vape, vape squads, vape crews, stuff like that, advocacy, and
there were support groups really at the time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We dove in. Queen's like, I'm doing this, check this out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Watch what we can do. I have so much experience in getting this going. And so we took all of what I knew from promoting with snowboarding, sales, marketing, networking, yada, yada. And we went straight to the owners of these companies and we started traveling. And all we wanted to do was just share with everybody in the entire world what vaping had done for us over the last couple of years. The impact that it actually freaking worked.
It worked.
Still sitting here, I don't know, 10 years later saying, hey, I don't smoke cigarettes. I haven't smoked a cigarette. It's absolutely crazy. That's vape, man. That's where we came from and where we're at now.
When you got introduced to sub-o vaping, did you at least have someone with some knowledge to help you to make sure you weren't going to make any mistakes?
My buddy Corey, he definitely led me on and, kind of got me going. But I don't know. I used to work at Radio Shack growing up. So I knew, resistance, Ohm's Law, stuff like that. I mean, I was helping older guys and Boy Scouts and stuff create all sorts of cool things. So along with selling cell phones, but
thank you.
We knew a little bit of what was going on,
Yeah.
I went to cosmetology school and I had to take a whole electricity course because of the hot tools that we would use in hair. And so we actually had to learn about all of that. So I was kind of like, well, I have at least base knowledge. I have a college degree here that shows I know about electricity.
Yep, definitely followed the rules. Definitely double checked our times. It was scary that time when people blowing themselves up.
That was the time back then when everybody was kind of jumping into the sub-o market and not having any knowledge whatsoever, and not building to battery specs and stuff like that.
We didn't have Mooch out there telling us what batteries and what resistance and ohms.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump over to Tom. Tom, you got a question? I'm gonna let you get. We'll just do one each, and then kind of going around a little circle.
Before I do, can you highlight Matthew Dean's comment about Captain and Queen are the big reason he was able to quit smoking?
Yeah,
I feel that should be celebrated.
Who's
Matthew Dean?
Which right here?
Yes.
There you go. And
that way they can see it.
Yep, and I will give Matthew one of these, man.
That's awesome. Thanks, man.
Much love, brother.
All right. So
I mean, that's what it's there for, helping the friends, the family, the community. Just even one or two people, there's some people out there. I'll be real. My mother's a smoker. My mother's tried every style of vaping she possibly could. I just can't get her. I don't know what to do. I'm not by her 24 hours a day. It slaps a cigarette out of her hand.
Yeah.
So it's a battle, and to have people like Matt or and his wife or anybody else out there that has done it themselves, it's more of your win. I'm glad we could be there to support it and lead it, but you're the one who wakes up and goes to sleep every day making the right choice.
All right, Nate, pick a number between 1 and 4.
Oh, he's making it hard, making you choose.
3.
Question 3 is, what was your first car?
Oh gosh. It was a red Acura Integra, 98 Acura Integra.
Nice.
Not bad.
The add-on question should be, how long did you own for?
Yeah.
Is it still sitting in the driveway?
No, not that one.
Before it was inoperable.
Think like Homecoming.
I gotta assume living in Colorado, a lot of cars didn't last very long.
Yeah. It was, I grew up in the mountains, right at the foot of Mount Evans. I grew up at 9,500 foot. And it was 45 minutes into town on just curvy roads, dirt roads, single lane dirt roads when I was 16 years old, having a good old time.
Yeah, the dirt roads, everybody's struts and the back ends of their cars all sound like shit.
There she is.
Hey.
Maddie.
Hey guys.
Hey,
Hey, Madison.
So I'm on my phone right now. I'm having issues with getting it on my computer. So once I get on my computer, I'll swap over.
Okay.
And she is an IT specialist, so
She'll figure it out.
you'll figure it out. Timmy, you got a question?
Yeah. So it's a general question that we ask a lot of people in the vape industry. This is a tough one to answer. I think we asked Queen this question when she was on, but it's a tough one because as advocates, we don't want to get rid of anything. But if you had to look at the vaping landscape in totality, and there was one thing that you could handpick to sacrifice, concede, throw out, say, if we could, I'm okay with getting rid of that, and if we got rid of that, then we could save vaping, the rest of vaping. What one thing would you be willing to get rid of, vaping related, to save the rest of the industry? Yeah.
Can I? Okay, so
It can be in any amalgam that you want. You can get as granular as you like.
on an honest and a serious note, I've given up alcohol. I've had the talk. I've given it to whoever needs to give it. I won't drink alcohol if vaping sticks around. I've done that. All right. So, no, this is serious. This is real. Like, it's not a demon that I face or anything. It's something easy for me to get rid of, and it's just something simple that I've had that. Like, just, dude, I promise I won't party. Like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to help people. Honestly, for vaping, see, I'm an advocate. I'm a big advocate right now, especially of not canceling ourselves out. I do not want cancel culture inside of vape. I think that we conformed a little too easily and too aggressively to our own wants and needs and standards without really thinking about it. And now we've come to the end of the end where we don't have anything that we want at all, That to me is a rough thing. I would probably just get rid of the online sales.
Yeah.
If I could get rid of online sales and force people into the community stores and then create a program such as a cannabis university does to train the bud tenders, we could do something like that to help support, really driving volume into these brick and mortars.
Good answer. Yeah, I think that was one that's come up from time to time. A lot of people would say if you could get rid of the online element of it, that would potentially kind of put some people's angst to rest because they seem to think that the online market is the channel for how the kids are getting the majority of their stuff when the numbers don't even show that. It's a tough one, and it goes around the horn. I mean, a lot of people say, get rid of Nick Salt, and I don't know that that's necessarily the answer. Me personally, I'm just like, maybe get rid of the 50 and the 60. If you could get rid of the 50 and the 60, I just don't think the larger percentage of even people who need to come off of smoking to get into vaping, I get it. There's probably a small contingent that might need that 50 because they were a 3 or 4 pack a day smoker. I think the average I hear is about a pack. I think if you could get it down and say 36 is like the ceiling. For me, that's kind of like, I could live with that. If I could get rid of 50 and 60 and keep the rest, then I'm okay with that.
It's hard to say though, because it's like, what about that one person, that one older gentleman who needs that 50 just to get him that feeling? We can get him to a 35 next week when he comes back in, but we need him on that 50 today, right? To get him the confidence. And it's so rough. That's
why it's a tough question. It's a hard one because the reality is we don't want to get rid of any of it. We know that all of it has some place in space. But it's just an interesting question to ask because I think there's a lot of different answers.
But let me ask you, Cap. I'm going to call you Cap now. Do you really think we need 50 and 60? Be honest, because most of us in this panel, I'm 10 years, Tim's 9 years, Brian is 7 or 8 years. We all started with 18 and 24, and we've all been successful. All of us. I was a 2.5 pack a day smoker, to be honest. Sometimes 3 if I was stuck in the truck long enough. but do you honestly think we need 50 and 60?
I think there might be a need for the 50. So the 60, I mean, although it's rare, I know it's out there. The 50 is high. I believe that with the smaller devices that are being presented with these products, I really do feel like it's a starting point. I'm not saying that I think a 35 might actually be probably the same throat hit and the same flavor and the same, to somebody. I don't want to be. I'm glad I'm not the person in that position. I don't want to be the person who has to say that there's a limit or a cap on what could possibly help. I mean, you guys have seen the movie. Have you guys seen the movie You Don't Know Nicotine? I mean, we've got studies out there. We're understanding more about nicotine. Is nicotine the problem? Maybe the salt, benzoic acids, stuff like that that's included. Maybe there's stuff like that. But really, is nicotine an issue at this point? That's a good one.
Yeah. I understand the differences between the salt mixable and the I hate saying the word, the free base. Can we still say that, guys?
Yes.
We can say the free base.
It's just an extraction method.
Yeah. I get it. I know it's a smoother draw and all that other stuff, but it's like, it just seems like to me that it's a small percentage of actual smokers that I think really need 50 and 60s. And I think those guys were, you'd have to almost be like a 3-pack to 4-pack a day smoker to hit 50 and 60 to help you get through that day. But most of us, we're a pack a day, 2-pack a day. 24 milligrams worked for us. For millions of us, it's worked for, and it just seems like why was this introduced into the market?
Yeah, I had a friend on Facebook made a comment about how the high nicotine pods are getting him to have less interaction with vaping throughout the day. So while he's at work, he can hit a 50 nic maybe 2 or 3 times at lunch.
Right.
Is needing to go further and longer. It holds them over longer, suppresses them a little bit.
But aren't you just training yourself to need that at those levels? That's why I think it was a bad product to start out with. Yeah, I understand there's a lot of people that are out there that have to go from 9 till noon without having a cigarette, and then that only having an hour lunch and then having that noon till 4:30, 5 o'clock can't have one. But I think it just introduced a habit that I think we didn't need to have in the first place. Instead of training yourself and making yourself say, I can get by, and teaching yourself to wait, and then having that, that hit at lunchtime or whatever, and going back to work. But I think they just introduced a product that sadly is addicting. And I hate saying it, but truly that was the goal, I believe, with 50 and 60. I mean, that guy, let's be honest though, that guy already went from 9 to noon before not having that cigarette. And now you're introducing a product that's telling you can hit this and it'll get you by till fucking noon.
Well, right. So just to compound on that, I mean, ideally when you're talking about relevancy, right? So the idea behind vaping being successful outside of other little factors like flavors, okay? Right. I mean, flavors, I believe, are key, right? Because that helps you disassociate from the tobacco flavor, which may be an attractant for you. We all know that that's not really the primary element that keeps you coming back. It's more than likely going to be the nicotine that gets you coming back. So it's all about relativity, right? You're less likely to be successful if the vaping experience isn't in some way relative to how you smoked.
Your lifestyle,
right. Yeah. So if you're a 3 or 4 pack a day smoker, that means you're pumping nicotine into your body constantly. I think, though, like you say, those people probably need the 50 in the beginning. Moreover, I don't think the guy that was a pack a day guy, who may have increased a little bit having a few extra beers. But my point is I think that 36 probably would be enough, because you take it outside of that, you say, well, the MTL experience gives you that smoking experience, right? Because it's that tighter draw, it's like smoking in that feeling perspective. But moreover, how would everybody feel about this? I know that it starts to diversify the industry in that regard, but like with other things, what if you said, okay, anything up to 36 is over the counter, but if somebody really needs the 50, it's prescription.
Yeah.
What about that idea? And I mean, then it's still available for a contingency of people who might actually need that. And these people have to be motivated to want to vape to get away from smoking, or use that as a tobacco harm reduction methodology. I'm not saying I'm endorsing prescriptions for nicotine. I'm just saying I think at 50, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I thought Juuls were basically 60.
Yeah,
I was always told they're more than 50.
They're like 50 point something, right? Almost 60 is what it breaks down to, is what I've been told. Yeah.
So I don't know. I never needed that much, and yes, I'll admit I've had devices that have had that much in it. But I don't think for a long-standing vapor it does any justice. I mean, it's almost like it's stupid. It's like, I don't need 50. 24 is fine.
50 is 59 something.
Yeah, I thought so.
It actually breaks down to being over 60. It's like 60 point or 62 point something. I forget what it breaks down to.
Did we ask Matthew that question last week? Matthew, come up with your answer. If you could pick one thing about the vaping industry in totality that you could toss out and concede in order to save the rest of vaping for all of us, what one thing would you get rid of? You can put it in the chat.
And we're going to swing over to Brian. Brian, you got a question for Cap?
Yeah. So here's kind of an off the wall one. With you being with Vape Radio and being, say, talkative on there, you deal with a lot of different types of music and so on. Do you have like a favorite genre? Do you have certain songs that you say you want to play a lot, but you just can't because of certain things? Is there some restrictions there?
On Vape Radio, we try to keep it pretty clean. We are shooting for the soundtrack to your vape shop, so we try to keep that retail presence pretty solid, right? But at the same time, I mean, we're all tattooed up, and music's cool, and there's cuss words, and there's some like derogatory things in there. Baby, It's Cold Outside is being played this Christmas. Don't worry, everybody. Elvis Presley has not been canceled.
Did Elvis sing that?
So, no, but there's a list of things we're bringing back. So, honestly, I like it all. I'm big into like underground hip hop, punk rock music. But one of the coolest parts about being with Vape Radio is just being able to play whatever we want to play. And I have some I love music, just all in all. We're playing the Temptations on there, and then we turn around and we play like Motley Crue right after it. And then it goes into the Beastie Boys, and it goes into Chris Stapleton, and then to the NoFX, Rancid. You get into this like gutter punk scene, and then we take you into like rap super.
That's cool.
It's so much fun. It's really like we just get to play with emotion and just kind of drive energies and stuff. And to put that along with talking about something that we have passion about, like vaping, and when there's a call to action and we could play some like heavy metal or something leading out of it to really get people pumped up and like really get them to feel like where we're coming from. There's something special about radio. It's really fun. It's super cool.
Yeah, as a content creator, how the hell are you getting away with playing music?
It's radio, Joe.
But we can't.
So again, we have an opportunity for that as well that will be coming shortly. But yeah,
I get strikes after strikes. I got a strike for just using. Are you not entertained from the movie 300? And I got a strike from Paramount for using that clip and not showing his face, not just the audio of Russell Crowe saying, "Are you entertained?" And I got a strike for that.
So the difference there being that Vape Radio has to pay for the music that we
right. Yeah.
There's a difference there, I suppose, but we still don't put it on. I mean, Facebook doesn't like us.
I've
Instagram
only
doesn't like us. They think because we're Vape Radio, we've got
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
songs or something. I don't know.
I have only got the okay from one band to use their song, and I use it for our sports show, and that's the boys are back in town, and they okayed it. But I think if that show were to ever take off, they would take it away from me. Oh, Tom, throw out that question number 2. You going to make them pick a number, or Maddie? Do you have a question? I know you're new to it. You're just back in the flow.
I guess the only question I have, I don't know if it was asked, was are you guys surprised by so far the list of people who have not made it to the next round in the FDA approval?
Surprised? Absolutely not. Devastated, heartbroken. Like, want to like even just now, like I tear up. Like this is just it's just. We called this years ago.
Yeah, it was
guys.
one of those expect the worst.
We sat, and not me, but like the vape industry, right? We called this, we knew we were going to lose ownership. We know vaping's not going anywhere. Am I sad because vaping will be here tomorrow. I'm sad because of all the hard work people put into it, all the dedication, and the FDA just crapping on them, the USPS just crapping on them, the government crapping on them, taxation's theft. Like, let's talk about me liking punk rock music. There's a like anti-establishment right here, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's got to mean an awful lot, and these people mean an awful lot.
I mean, some of the companies I will say I was surprised at, just because the whole time we're thinking, oh, whoever pays the money is going to get through, and these people had the money and paid it, and they still didn't get through. Okay, this was planned from the beginning. There was no way that anybody was going to get through it, because these people definitely provided what they asked for.
Yeah, Tim had that list last week, right, Tim? And
and it had grown since last week, and there were a lot of major big names on that last round. In the beginning, I was like, okay, they're kind of like they're hammering on like the smaller dudes, that had like 50 flavors of in-house juice that I had never heard of, and no slight to them. They're fighting the good fight and getting their product out there, but I just had never heard of any of them. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, sad, but I mean, we're still, we still got quite a few in play. And then that last round came out, and I'm like, and Monster Vape Labs was on there, and a lot of the, a lot of the really big name. The name Humble was on there, and it was like, you got to be joking me, it's. You're right. It just seemed like it was set up for everyone to just get the backhand, without question. They were going to get it no matter who they were. And even Greg Conley brought it up in a tweet. I forget the actual, the maker of like Zigzag rolling papers. Apparently, I guess they had a vape juice line and CBD line and all this other stuff. And they put like a metric F ton of money into the process, and they still got it. And then who's the one that's still sort of like limping through right now?
Right.
The one that everybody wants gone, and they're the one that's staying. Right. Well, they're there now, and more than likely will probably stay.
And don't forget about the one that actually got approved, the IQOS.
Right. Yeah. So IQOS got through, but unfortunately, as sad as that is that it didn't provide us the ability to have a precedent for the products that we want to take part in. No harm, no foul on tobacco harm reduction. I don't know that I would run out and buy an IQOS device. I don't think that that's something that I want. To me, that's too close to smoking, even if they want to say it's better for you than actual smoking. It's just that thought of it being, a tobacco stick or whatever they want to call it. You know what I mean? So
the cigarette backup just kind of gives me the cringe anymore. The smell, the taste, the like, the holding it, like it's weird. And I don't want nothing to do with it because it's too tempting, because it's such a powerful beast.
Yeah.
It's like the government, we all knew that they just want a piece of the pie. They want a cut of the cash. That's the only reason they're shutting us down, because it's cutting into tobacco money. How are they going to make money off of us? Well, they put us through a PMTA process, rake thousands upon thousands of dollars out of this industry, and then kick us to the curb. That's how they get their money from us. They did it.
Curtis got good point there where he says that I'm not sad, I'm pissed. And you know, Curtis, I don't want to take that from anybody by me saying that I'm sad. I am very pissed. But my initial emotion off the whole thing is sad though. Like I'm sad, and then that sad turns into anger, and that anger like almost becomes uncontrollable. If there was someone to slap, we would slap them. We just can't do that right now. So
Yeah, they made money on us, and I think that was their goal. And a lot of it doing these PMTAs, I think, you know, at first we were all worried because in the beginning we thought nobody was going to do this, or no one had. Well, we all thought it was going to cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, so we figured it was going to kill the small boys. And then we realized all these guys threw these PMTAs in. We were just shocked to see the totals, but it might have been just a play for them to take us away from what we were doing in the beginning, advocacy, and get us focusing on these PMTAs and getting these companies to spend money to get people to do all this research, fill out all these papers for them, and then just to get this stupid form letter that says, you know, basically doesn't say anything of why you didn't pass. It just says you didn't, and move forward. And a lot of these smaller businesses, they might not have anything left in tank. They might not have anything left, you know, or just so upset or so frustrated to the point where it's just like, I'm just going to close my doors. And I think that's what they were banking on.
100%. It's definitely our army over the last 3-4 years has shrunk. The first Washington, D.C. rally, see the We Vape, We Vote for the UVA out there. Like that. I mean, I remember holding the sign in Washington, D.C. while, you know, Trump flew over our heads, and it was crazy. It was wild. And there were so many people there. And I just fear right now that they have depleted us to where even a rally at the, you know, at the FDA or anything, I don't know. I'll show up. I don't know who else will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they made money off us with the PMTA, but then clearly that's not a sustainable element. What do you guys think about the whole taxation thing that they're trying to bring around? I mean, even if people try to stay in the game, do you think that? And then I've seen it in other countries where, like, Australia charges you an outrageous amount of money for a pack of cigarettes in relativity, and people still pay it to smoke those cigarettes. So do you think if this tax bill gets through that vapors will still pay $40 more for a 60 ml bottle to keep vaping? I mean, I have mixed emotions on that. I feel like people would just still turn to the black market and be like, screw that, I'm not paying that for a bottle of e-liquid.
I feel that, or I mean, yeah, black market for sure if they commit to vaping still, but a lot of folk will probably just be like, well, cigarettes are cheaper now, so.
Right.
And that's the scary part. Because even now, I mean, cigarettes are expensive, but they sure as hell ain't $100 for a pack.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's go ahead.
The amount of grief that this taxation's causing so we got to take it back to the master settlement agreement. We got to understand where we started fighting this fight.
Yeah.
When we started harming big tobacco is when we became targets. And I don't see this taxing going the way that anybody expects it to. I don't see it popping out. If they do what they do, more power to people to switch to synthetics and do the fun stuff and go against them. Again, I'm not the one who's going to allow you to conform. I'm the one who's going to sit there and tell you to go do what it takes to be the best you can be and make the impact that you're supposed to make. You know, you got put here to do something, go do it. You got a drive to go get it done, go get it done. Synthetics are a good way around what could be this taxation. Band-Aid, it might be a Band-Aid. It might be a 6-week Band-Aid. It might be a 6-year Band-Aid. You know, it's definitely short-lived, but
the vape industry is all about loopholes. We'll find them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they flagged TFN under the taxation thing. I thought that they caught that in the sweep. I could be wrong.
As far as I was seeing, it was nicotine, and the synthetic was not in there because it is not a nicotine. But I would like to know too.
Yeah, I'll try to find it while we're on the show. There was something that Allie brought up in her post about the FDA going around to shops and trying to get people to sign this waiver or disclaimer or something.
I heard.
Yeah, and I think that caught TFN in the. It basically didn't specifically name TFN as something that they were trying to stop, but because the waiver was written in such a way, it would have prevented you from selling anything vape related, including hardware through the vape stores.
Yes, that is a big like disclaimer right now. If you're watching and the FDA walks into your manufacturing facility, your shop, whatever tomorrow and asks you to sign a affidavit, do not go talk to your attorney. Don't sign anything from the FDA right now, people. They're literally trying to, they've added all this stuff, get you to sign the affidavit and then tell you that you can't manufacture a single thing. You can't even distribute a single thing at that point, is what I'm hearing.
Daniel says it does include.
Wow.
As I thought that they did kind of catch it in the sort of the catch-all sweep of that, and included because they see, and I'm not blaming the industry for this. I think that this is basically what's going around right now. They can't force you to sign anything. You can ask for copies of what it is they're trying to get you to sign, then you can ask to take it to council, but you can thank them for the document and then just see them on their way. You don't have to do anything. But
show them the door.
Yeah, well, I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. It's Tom's question. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. This one's really tough. What is your beard routine?
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Listen to her tell me to shave it.
Cloud Queen's shaking her head, so it's probably worse than her. He's got like 8 different things he's putting in there.
It's it's a trim. I usually trim it like every day, every other day, just get the like blue skies around. And we go in, we wash, we do the shampoo, we do the conditioner.
He says we wash.
I was going to ask, where's this we coming from? Can't you do it yourself? Like, does she have to?
I don't know.
It's me and the beard, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, I know where he's going with this.
We is the beard. We is the beard, not Cloud Queen.
And then it goes into and then I just put like oils and a nice little beard balm on it. So shout out to Borrow Hemp for having a super, super awesome like the nicest melting, just good. Ooh, love it for sure.
I will have to look into that.
Yeah, and then I pull it all out. I've got this curly beard, so it takes me like 5 minutes to go through like this like screaming tangle.
All right, and follow-up question.
Cloud Queen's just shaking her head like, it's like it's a 45-minute ritual, huh? Yeah.
All right, here's my follow-up question. Out of the two of you, who takes longer to get ready to go somewhere?
Oh.
Oh yeah. No guy's gonna win that battle.
Yeah.
All depends on how much.
Or you mean lose that battle?
See, I start and then like commit and finish. Like I'll start, like I'll brush my hair, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go walk away, vape, and then I'll come back and I'll do my makeup, and then I'll go make some coffee. Then maybe I'll watch a show for a minute. Like I'm very distracted when I get ready, so it does take me a while.
That's funny. I got a question for you guys. How do you guys go through the process of picking your music for your show? Do you guys go ahead and do that prior to the show, or you make your music choices, or it's just something you do for during that feeling, that moment?
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah, we have approved music, right? That's downloaded that we've got, and we can go through and choose whatever we want, and it's definitely just a feeling. Again, it goes back to the kind of controlling the emotions and the energy, just where we're at, what we want to talk about. Throwback Thursday, or if it's Hump Day or whatever, like Hump Day, we might play a lot of like little like romantic kind of mood setting music,
Like Magic Mike stuff.
Yeah, like the song by Cisco, and stuff that'll really get you moving.
Some Genuine.
And then Throwback Thursday is always something that's just in the past. Typically, Feel
Nice.
Good Friend is always loud and hyper, and
I think it's good you do the throwback stuff. How far back do you go? 50s?
Probably right around like 50s, 60s.
Yeah, 50s,
It's nothing. It's mostly going to be like 70s, 80s throwbacks. I mean, we're old, but we're not.
We played some,
well, yeah.
Frank Sinatra and like.
No, hey, see, you sold me. You sold me. You said Frank. You sold me.
Yeah.
Now, is disco a no-no on Vape Radio?
Disco's played. Rod plays a lot of disco. That's his favorite.
Nice.
So you have like the old people in the day. They do a lot of talking, a lot of like knowledge, and really old music.
Old folks,
and then you got Queen and Captain in the afternoons, evenings.
Yeah.
Let it loose.
A lot of that 70s disco music is now being dubbed into a lot of rap. You know, it's just become weird. It's just weird. I'll be listening to it because my kids listen. I don't listen to rap at all, but they listen to rap, and I'm listening. And it's just like my buddy Bob, I hear that beat, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute, dude. You know, that's you know, and no, with this Bob story. As a Kool and the Gang song, and he heard it, and it was being dubbed by a rapper, and the kid said, and Bob said, no, that's Kool and the Gang, and the kid didn't even know who the hell Kool and the Gang. He goes, no, that belongs to what's his name. He just shaking his head like, no, that's Kool and the Gang. Dude.
Yeah, my kid's the same way. I'll hear her like listening to TikTok or something, and all of a sudden I'll start singing along. She goes, Mom, you've seen these TikToks? I said, no, that song's been around. What do you mean? This is new? I said, no, honey. We invented this stuff. It's okay. Yeah. Everything's remade these days.
That's what we kind of need. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. I don't have the money, but it would be kind of neat to have some sort of vape music festival. So I don't know if it's possible, but music always brings people together. It'd be kind of a cool little idea to have, some sort of, I don't know, vape music advocacy concert.
If you know the bands, or if you can, collect the funds to pay for said music, I'm telling you, we just need to do a fundraiser.
That would be
cool. We should do a concert, but it's like, who do you pick to do it? Like, everybody listens to so many different things. I don't think everybody would be able to decide who.
We have, like, out here in Modesto, we have X Fest, and what it is, it's 4 huge city blocks. And what they do is they separate it. So there's rock over here, there's pop over here, there's rap over here, and there's country music. So you just kind of go around these 4 blocks, just listening to different groups that are playing, and they have set times and they come on. It's pretty cool. You could kind of do something like that. But music is music. I think everyone appreciates every kind of music, and it'd be kind of cool. I want to talk about your website real quick, and I want to pull it up here. I got to click it. Come on, Google. There you go. We're going to talk a little bit about your site here. Let me get it up on the screen. And we'll go back to questions. So I'd like you guys to talk a little bit about.
Yeah. That's the site.
Your favorite homies. I love it.
It's yourfavoritehomies.com.
.com.
Really, it's a work in progress. It's constantly evolving and growing. We haven't gotten too far on it yet. That was a cover photo for
Skate Shop, it looks like.
Canada Nerd.
I see boards.
Up in Canada. They also do the, what is that, Vape Canada or Canadian Vape Magazine or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we did that. But anyways, what we've done here is we've just kind of put all of the brands we work with, all the places we work with, all the people we support.
Nice.
I go here, and it's our verification. It's just a way that we can tell people, hey, if you want someplace to
I love that picture.
to go and find some cool products,
free hugs.
There's a lot of discounts and I guess you'd call them like influencer links or whatever, but
affiliate
links. Yeah,
all right, did you get any hugs that day?
Yes.
Yes.
Sad, very sad hugs. Absolutely. Yeah, these are all just photos of our travels over the years. I mean,
it's awesome. I like how you guys put it. I like how you put it all together. It's really cool. And some of these people, Queen, very cool. I put the link to that in the chat. I'm going to put it in there again, guys, if you want to head on over. Links to all their social media pages. So also their Facebook page or Facebook group page for Vape Radio, and their Twitter account, the Vape Radio, is on there. I got that on there too. Very cool. I like how you did the slideshow. Everything's really cool. And
And
seeing,
don't judge the smoking. It's all hemp and cannabis products.
yeah, don't worry about that. We talk about cannabis here, so
Yeah, we're larger than life cannabis activists.
yeah, we discuss it all. Hey, obviously they've done something. Well, it's taken 200 years, but they've eventually got their way in some states. So, I don't want to say we need to follow their book because their book is way too long, and it's taken a long time for them to get through.
We need the Reader's Digest condensed version of their book.
Yeah. We need Nick Orlando's book. That's what we need. We need Nick Orlando's.
That would just be 2 pages and 4 pictures.
Yeah, work your ass off. Get to know everybody in Congress. Tim, you got a question for Cap?
Well, no. I mean, kind of like in the situation that we're at right now, how are you encouraging others to advocate when it comes to dealing with the fight in general, right? Because, I mean, we can still voice our opinion as much as we want, but I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really don't know how to even get started. So, being that we still have an opportunity to change our votes or bring people into power that actually could create a positive influence, what direction do you take with people in terms of advocating? Obviously, there's like the posts all the time, like, hey, here's so-and-so's phone number, pick up the phone number and just blast the living hell out of them. And that all sounds great and fine and dandy, but what do you do with somebody who's like, I don't really understand what's going on. What can I do? Like, what would be your advice to that person, like to get them started in advocacy?
Sure. Typically, so every single day we talk about it on the radio. One of the big places I like to send people is to the Facebook page, Vape Radio Backstage. And it's basically like your red carpet to Vape Radio. All of our shows, all the contests we do, but at the same time, it's all of our call to actions, all of our advocacy. It's basically, it's the vape industry kind of like, what do we focus on today? What are people talking about today kind of thing, So I like to send people there. I also direct everybody to all the organizations, whether it be, SAFADA, GASA. You got the UVM page that I've been sending people to, the UVA page I've been sending people to, giving them these groups the way that they're supposed to be utilized. Their support networks and their areas that you could learn and grow with. And then from there, I'll be real, if anybody's out there and they ever just need to talk about it, BS about it, want to know about products, that's what we do. It's our life. We're always there, DM, phone call, email. We don't push anybody away. We call ourselves your favorite homies, and you guys are all homies. Yeah. And we want more homies. We want people to come together and be a part of this, network together, utilize your.
Am I not following?
What's that?
I said, how was I not following? I thought I'd been following this whole time. So I clicked it.
But yeah, so if you look in the little squares there, you've got we got a call to action for Senator Sinha or whatever her name is.
Yeah, that was a new one today.
That one's going on for today and tomorrow. That one's really cool. A lot of the show postings, you'll read in like the little photos or whatever that we're talking about, maybe a vape rally today or a vape event or Julian Rodman spanking themselves, it looks like in that one.
That's their battle.
Amanda Wheeler celebration day for what she did at the world on the world stage out there. That was super cool in Europe. That's just kind of what we're on. The next move, what's happening in the world, what we got going on. Is it synthetics? Is it rallies? Is it what do we got going on? So super good place to kind of go and learn some stuff.
I'm going to put that link in there again so you guys can find the website as well. On the go back here. Tommy, or Brian, I'm sorry. Brian, you got another question you want to ask?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to float off the topic a little bit ago. You're talking about your travels and so like that. You guys were talking about touring around and stuff before. Is there updates with that? Have you guys figured stuff out with that yet, or my main point is when you guys come in North Dakota? But besides the point,
Nobody wants to go to North Dakota.
I know I need friends. Please help.
So yeah, we're definitely touring. Vape Radio tour is still going on. We did a couple of events, and then we put a little bit of a halt in it, purchasing the vehicle, wrapping it up, setting the plan, just getting things in motion. We had a couple of people who wanted to still be a part of the tour, weren't ready to commit just right away. The tour is pretty cool, man. Vape Radio is going to go out. We're going to take these companies that we appreciate, that have done it the right way, and we're going to go sell them, and we're going to take them to shops, and we're going to introduce them to the consumers and to the managers and the owners, and we're going to really make them, we're going to make the consumer and the community appreciate vaping again by showing them a good time, by giving stuff away and getting their buy-in that this is the community they want to be a part of. If I have to give you liquid, if I have to give you a shirt, if I have to do things to make you feel like you're appreciated, I have no problem doing that. Yeah. I don't know why we ever stopped giving stuff away.
You know, 5-6 years ago, I don't see why we can't bring that back to life. You know, that's kind of what we were saying. Like, it's time to bring it back.
Yep. So
that's the way it was.
We want to put that in the community. We can't do that over air. We can't do that, you know, once every 6 months when there might be a vape expo or it might get
right.
You know, so we're going to go and create our own energy, and we're going to travel around. Honestly, there's hundreds and hundreds of stops that have been named. It's something that could go on as long as the vape industry is a thing and allows us to. It's not just about the selling. It's not just about the partying and the showing up and having a good time. It's also about getting the knowledge into these shop employees' hands and the consumers' hands. Advocating by being activists. Getting out in the street, putting your foot down, and getting the army to believe in what we're doing, darn it. Not going to do that by telling people to call. I love to do call of actions, guys, but we got to show up and we got to get people going.
Yeah. I think we got all our... Oh, Tom, go ahead, Tommy. I know you got two more. Throw out your last two, Tom. Give it to him.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to throw on the grill?
Burgers.
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 That's way too easy. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, I clean called you out.
Hold on. Well, okay. We'll start over. Our burgers are special burgers.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What we do with our burgers, what Queen does, is she makes her own breading to go in them. Well, we found a really cool recipe that we play with, and we add Doritos instead of breadcrumbs.
Like I actually grind them into a powder. That's the meat. Yeah,
that with your normal like seasonings is absolutely one of the best things.
We make really good burgers. Oh, and an egg. You have to add the egg.
We don't use grill. We use a Blackstone.
The egg is an Italian thing.
It is. How'd you know?
Yeah.
I'll count the Blackstone as a grill. It's an outdoor grill.
We could grill the same stuff on it.
Yo.
It's not one thing I can't do, but there's a lot more I can do.
It's like
that's why I have one too.
Yeah, right here.
All right, and my last question: how did you propose to Queen?
Which time?
It's been like 8 times. He's tried 8 times.
The one that stuck.
3, I think.
No, whatever.
Okay.
The one that stuck, Tom said.
The first one.
The first one was Vegas, and we were just in the apartment, and I just got down on it.
It was like first thing in the morning.
I grabbed her. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't there was too much, man. So it was just like, all right, let's do this. Let's get it out of the way so we can have
let's just get this out of the way.
That one to her stuck. I get why it stuck, but I asked her on our 10-year wedding anniversary to remarry me.
Yeah.
And she said yes.
Yeah, she said she couldn't. She said, "All right, it's been long enough."
So we eloped. We eloped in Vegas.
Nice.
She was going to school down there. we were doing our thing. So we just went out and got married with a couple of friends real quick at Little Whitechapel.
T-shirt and jeans kind of thing. Yeah.
And so the 10-year was kind of a little bit more serious. She got a bigger rock.
And we are
a little
gonna
bit more heart put into it.
A real wedding now, so
And-
I'll finally wear a wedding dress.
She gets her real wedding. Her and her mom are planning the real wedding for, I think, next fall or something.
Yeah, it's been tough. I've had like 3 or 4 friends of mine now, sadly, having to cancel each time. I have 2 of them that have canceled twice now because no one because of COVID wants to go to a wedding, a big wedding. You know, they're like, no.
Right.
Yeah. 2. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna propose to her on the stage at Vapors Carnival on our 10-year anniversary. It was that weekend, but instead we caught wind that 2 of our good friends were getting married on the stage that weekend by Bubba. Bubba married them.
We weren't going to steal the thunder.
So yeah, we took away from that, but that was really cool. So that was a cool weekend, just all in all, just a lot of love and that was super fun.
Yeah. Well, we are going to switch gears over to Madison. You guys are welcome to stay. Probably interested in this next topic here. We got cannabis talk with Mandy. Go, Madison.
Yeah, no, definitely stay. I'm kind of curious to your guys' opinion. So we've got 2 big things that happened in marijuana lately. Amazon. Have you guys heard about the whole Amazon thing?
That's insane.
No, it's great because Amazon is a huge company, and to have Amazon come out and make these decisions, it's going to cascade because basically now Amazon is not going to drug test employees, which is huge. They're not going to drug test them anymore. So that's that. Now, I don't know how that's going to play for Amazon delivery drivers because you have the DOT ruling and the issues with the CDL, but you know, I mean,
well, that
you do have to do your your physicals to do interstate driving.
Time out though. They're still required by OSHA to test you if you get hurt.
If you get hurt, yes, but in order to get employment there, they're not going to drug test you, and they're not going to do random drug testing.
But can they fire you after you get hurt at work and you're high as fuck?
I think the only way that they can, because from what I've been reading off of it, a lot of it has to do with your local laws.
Okay. Yeah.
And stuff like that, because you do have people who have medical cards.
Yeah.
So technically, it's kind of like one of those things, like they can't really fire you on the medical side. Maybe they have to look at a different job role for you or make some sort of reasonable accommodation. But at the same token, if you hurt somebody, they can just fire you simply off of that, whether you pass a drug test or not. So, but that's a huge thing. So now to get employment at Amazon, you do not have to be drug tested.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of, with as big as Amazon is and the footprint that they have, it's really going to help for what's happening this week. So tomorrow they're voting for the federal legalization of marijuana.
Yeah,
so,
that makes me wonder if Bezos is going to help that cause go through. Is he? I mean, if it's big business for him,
right?
And if he's already got his foot in the door by doing this, I'm sure he, somehow, some way is helping to make sure that law passes. I'm assuming, or otherwise, it's just I guess he has enough. I guess he has enough money to say, "Oh well, that didn't work."
I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Like, I don't really think it matters how much money gets put into it. The fact that you have now a big organization who's basically coming out saying, "Who cares about marijuana?"
Yeah.
I think it's going to help change the mind of some of these senators. I mean, the biggest problem we're going to run into is Biden. Because Biden does not believe that adults should just be recreationally smoking marijuana. He does not believe in it at all. Now, he does believe in like the decriminalization process of what's happened with the cannabis industry, but he's not a big fan of people smoking weed.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking, the first thing that comes to mind is millionaires working with millionaires or billionaires working with. But all I see him doing is taking this industry and then helping his friends out. That's what I see happening. Who else is going to be able to afford these distilleries or these growers? Are going to be his buddies, and I just see them getting. You know what I'm saying, Maggie?
Well, but the thing is you also have to look at state laws too, because when you federally legalize marijuana, the thing is there's still state rules that can override it. So, like, I'm in the state of Illinois, for example. You can only get weed here in the state of Illinois. It has to be grown here. So states that have already established marijuana, like Colorado, Illinois, Washington State, they already have farms and distilleries. Like my husband's really good friend is a marijuana farmer in Montana. So, I mean, there's people who have already been established in this industry that even if they come in, and at the same token, I don't give a crap how they make their money. They're going to make money off of you no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's a 200-year battle, like you said, that we finally might be able to win the war.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, recreationally or medically, it's going to help a lot of people to finally get this to pass through.
Yeah.
And a lot of the lives that have been ruined. I mean, I guess the only good thing about the vape industry versus ours is that on the cannabis side, people lost their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, they go to jail, can't get jobs from it, and stuff like that. I mean, even with passing this, like here in Illinois, you can have, I think it's you can have up to an ounce, I believe, recreationally, and the governor pardoned. You can write into to the state if you had been punished for cannabis or for possession charges. If it's underneath that ounce, you are automatically pardoned. But think about if they had that drug charge 20 years ago, that's 20 years that they lost from being able to work, go to school, get a deal, anything. Yeah. They completely lost. Or how many people have lost their jobs over something that, helped them go to sleep for medical reasons? I mean, it's going to be huge, because that means from this day forward, our children, our grandchildren, and so on and so forth, don't have to worry about going to jail for something stupid.
Yeah.
And we can actually have the prison cells for actual real criminals.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in Colorado too, when it got recreationally legalized, anybody with pending charges, those were dropped. But the people who were already in trouble or who were already, in jail for that, they had to remain because they said it was illegal at the time of you committing the crime. And so there was a lot of people fighting at that point. But it was ugly, yeah.
There are people across this country being released from prison every day for marijuana, that should have been in there for 60 more years or for life or whatever.
Yeah.
The saddest part, though, there's no retribution for them.
Nope.
Because it was illegal when it happened, and now they're willing to. They don't not like getting falsely accused of murder and then the state owing you $1.5 million and you being like, okay, I can breathe. Like, they're coming out not knowing anything. Like, I was a hippie and now I'm like a lost hippie with the digital world.
Yeah. And what is this? This is a computer?
I have a girlfriend of mine who got charged with possession of marijuana when she was a teenager. She's in her 40s now. And it stemmed a terrible life for her, where she could not get a job. She was a single mother. She wound up having to marry men to get support that wound up being abusive relationships, then wound up going down the road of hardcore drugs and actually becoming a real felon off of hardcore drugs, to now that they've been dropping stuff, she's actually able to work, get clean, do all of this stuff. Like, people have lost their livelihood over a plant.
Yeah.
Over a plant.
I'm wondering what kind of backlash he's going to get for right now just suggesting doing this, but you know how we are. Boycott this, boycott that, boycott this. I just wondering if he's going to get any backlash for it. And also, it makes me wonder. I mean, there's going to have to be some sort of laws that separate the two warehouses. I'm sure they're not going to have kids' toys and all this other stuff in the same place that they have these, or where they have rooms full of marijuana and bags sorted by name and grade in the same building. You know what I'm getting at? I don't know if you want the same pickers picking from your electronic stuff and the guy picking your
I don't
weed.
think so, because according to, so this is from Amazon drops marijuana screening and supports federal MORE Act, which is what's getting voted on this week, tomorrow specifically. It says that Amazon is adjusting its drug policy for the U.S. field operations team that will no longer screen for marijuana in many circumstances. And this was announced June 1st. In the past, like many employers, they disqualified people from working at Amazon if they tested positive for marijuana use. However, given where state laws are moving across the U.S., we've changed courses. We will no longer include marijuana in our comprehensive drug screening program for any position not regulated by the Department of Transportation, and will instead treat it as the same as alcohol use.
Yeah.
Clark said that the online retailer giant will continue to monitor the on-job impairment and conduct post-incident drug and alcohol tests.
Yeah.
Addition, Amazon public policy team will support the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which is the MORE Act getting voted on, which will legalize marijuana at the federal level. We hope that other employers will join us and policymakers will swiftly to pass this law. So the thing is they're using common sense, because whether you're drunk on the job and somebody gets hurt is no different than if you're high on the job. Because the fact of the matter is marijuana doesn't stay that long in your system. What they're testing you is the byproduct. Yeah. And that's all on how often you use it, what type of use you used it, whether it was inhalation, tinctures, topical, edible, you name it. It has a calculation how long it stays in your system. And then on top of that, the more fat you have, the longer it stays in your system because of the metabolism rate. So what they're testing you isn't when you're high. Right. It's what you're doing in your off time. Right. I can go home from work and get hammered all I want and go to work the next day sober, and they would never know because there's no byproduct to test for alcohol. But for cannabis, I could smoke, 8 hours later go to work. I'm not high. I'm perfectly functioning and able to do my job, if not probably happier to do my job. Mm-hmm. And what? Of course I'm going to pop for what, 30 days? So you're going to be like, oh, you smoked weed 30 days ago, so we're going to fire you 30 days ago. Or we're not going to give you a job because you smoked weed 30 days ago. Like, if it was something that they could test you while you were impaired, which there are tests out there to do it, that companies don't do it, and they've refused to change their policies to incorporate this, then you're wasting time of poor individual people. Company does not have a right to tell you what to do when they're not paying you.
Most people don't realize that when they're peeing in a cup for a drug test, they're not being tested for THC. They're being tested for metabolites.
Yeah, right? the cannabinoids.
It sits inside it. It doesn't even get into your bloodstream at that point. Yeah, you have some in your bloodstream, but they're sitting inside of other places in your body. Like, it's crazy. I really feel like there's a master play here. I feel like there's some insider action going on, that somebody's preparing for something. Maybe it's not this year, tomorrow with the MORE Act or something, but Bezos is definitely getting prepared for open sourcing, and he'd probably be the one guy who's got the funding, who's already lobbying for it, and has the funding, that's being told about it.
I couldn't imagine.
Somebody probably approached him and was like, you want to make billions and billions more? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to legalize it, and you're going to deliver it all.
Amazon, being as big as they are, making that statement publicly if they didn't know what was coming.
You have drones that are just dropping sacks of weed in the backyard.
Call me crazy, but I feel like I've experienced this in the past, and I mean, I don't know that it's always been that a corporation can't make a determination or a decision to not test if they don't want to. Like I worked for a pretty big company back in Virginia, and when I first started working there, yes, I had to go to the stupid lab and piss test and then get a passing grade to get in. And then I left for 5 years and came back. And when I came back, I had to go through essentially the same process again because I had lost all my seniority. They had to rehire me. And they were like, well, we've stopped all that testing. Like they don't test you anymore for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not saying that they were doing anything unique. I just feel like that was a proprietorship kind of thing. Like they can choose to test if they want or pick the methodology for how they want to do it.
I think it kind of depends though, because the DOT, they cannot choose.
Yeah,
they have to.
They have to. Yeah, with my company, like even when my employer said if it were up to him, he wouldn't even do it. But it's pressure from the insurance companies that are pressuring him to make sure that everybody goes through a random test. And well, it's state federal law that every DOT, anyone with a Class A license, has to be tested every 2 years. So, if in an accident.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have like a fleet of drivers that were making deliveries. We had guys who drove a box truck that delivered stuff. Yes, we had a van, and we had guys who drove forklifts. So I think there was some consequential stuff that could happen if they had an accident or knocked a pallet rack over or something like that. Yeah, they probably would have tested you, and then if you tested, because I don't think Virginia at that time was like a fire at will state yet.
Well, it's not that they can't test you. I mean, if you look at the history of marijuana testing, they've always done the piss test, right? Yeah. But they have done follicle testing, and follicle testing is illegal now. Yeah. Because the thing is if you were to cut my hair as long as it is, or Queen's hair as long as it is, we would fail if we smoked weed a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Versus, you get somebody like Brian there with his new short haircut that looks really nice. By the way, Brian, I wanted to mention, I really like your haircut.
Throw in your haircut. Hey?
It looks really nice. I didn't even recognize you. I was like, who's this person?
It took me a lot of time to put this together.
Oh, did it? Like all of 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so happy you actually spent some time on yourself.
What else you got, Maddie? Because we're running out of time.
But if you were to cut that portion of his hair, that would have been from a month ago, 2 months ago? So they got rid of that because it was considered unfair. And the thing is the urine test is unfair. We have the technology to test for THC current in the system. And if you're high, and the thing that's been holding it has been HR companies have been behind the time. So with Amazon coming out saying, we're not going to drug test you, but if something happens, we're going to do it, is going to be pushing these policies forward in a major company to say, hey, we have the technology. We can concurrently test you while you're high and actually bring some equality back to drug testing, because marijuana has never had the equality in the drug testing when it came to opiates and the other stuff. So I'm kind of happy because I'm curious to see how many companies are going to follow suit with this and maybe catch it with the times and the policies to really give people the freedom that they want back.
There's also got to be some sort of financial burden on Amazon to do this, not only through like human resources and changing over all of their documentation and training and stuff. Obviously, they're not going to have to pay for a bunch of P-tests anymore. But insurance and stuff like that usually supports when you have drug tested employees. They'll give you a great discount. And so
But when you're as big as Amazon, they probably are afraid to lose that as a customer.
I mean, there's a bigger play though. There's got to be something more going on. Somebody's got to know something. I get all of that, but somebody somewhere has got to know, and it almost sheds a little bit of light and hope. You're right.
Yeah, there's a green light out there somewhere.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I hope they take such a hard hit to come up with marijuana. That'd be awesome.
He wants more. He wants to be the billionaire. You know, he wants to be the one and only. No one's gonna touch
Anybody
him.
else feel like we're in like the James Bond supervillain era with like Bezos and like
Good. That was a good parallel.
Okay,
Jeez.
Madison. Any other cannabis talk, or are we all done?
No, we're done. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. Hopefully next week I can come back and say, woohoo, we're finally winning the battle for real this time.
Yeah, and hopefully some of that good news can spread to the vape industry.
We'll take a few things from our rule book and get Amazon on your side. I mean, if that's what it takes, I mean, get Amazon on your side.
Amazon. Well, you used to. Well, yeah, I still can buy some. I can't buy any e-liquid on Amazon, but they still have some hardware and wire.
Yeah,
and,
you got to find it under some weird description.
yeah,
you'll find it.
you find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Addy
It's-
stands. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you look them up, but they're on there.
It's time for the guy in the middle.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lordy Lord.
I thought the biggest news of the day was the Mahjong table. I'm actually like I have to one up the Mahjong table.
Yeah.
Man, so let's tap the papers. All right. So I had to do a little digging today, and I want to disclaim before I even get started because I just looked down at my notes and I realized that I've got a bad ink cartridge, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't read half of this. So I might have to struggle through this a little bit because it's like I got like 2 lines that are like solid, and then I got like 1 line that's like all faded out. So if I sound like I'm making it up, it's probably because I am. Anyhow, so let's talk about some vape stuff today. I apologize in advance. I really could not find too much that was like happy puppy dogs and rainbows and fucking petunias and shit about vaping. So we're going to talk about other people's struggles, right? We've got our own. We're going through PMTAs. We got FDA people casing joints and trying to get people to sign affidavits. We got all kinds of people against us, but we need to take a look at Australia just a little bit, right? We need to talk about that because they kind of have the same argument, right? They're kind of arguing about how kids are sort of the catalyst and why they don't want vaping to sort of be on the radar. So let me share my screen real quick, and we'll talk about this article real quick. There we go. I am sharing.
All
right, so I didn't realize this. I think a lot of people were kind of aware. I don't know if anybody knew that Australia is moving to a prescription model in Australia across the board, right? So you can't manufacture, possess e-liquid or have nicotine at all unless you have a prescription in order to acquire it. We'll talk a little bit about what that allows you to acquire. It doesn't specifically state in greater terms exactly how much you're allowed to have. It just uses the word personal use. So I don't know what the total, I mean, if Paul were here, he could probably give us all the details on exactly what's going down. But what they recently added to the landscape was a ban on international importation of e-cigarettes and vaping devices and e-liquid and stuff like that. So basically, I guess that was still coming into the country, even though they were trying to shut it down. So as of October 1st, Australia will basically be moving to a prescription model in order to acquire nicotine, right? So basically, 0 milligram is irrelevant. But as of recently, importation of e-cigarettes into Australia is being banned due to what they're calling a significant increase in their use by young people. And this was stated by the head of the pharmaceutical regulator. So I guess we're not really looking down that route. They're not treating nicotine as a pharmaceutical. I think that would actually create a big rift in terms of how things would be handled, because if you're going to go down the pharmaceutical route, then you're effectively saying, well, cigarettes would have to be pharmaceuticals, NRTs would have to be pharmaceuticals, chewing tobacco, smokeless tobaccos would have to then be regulated as a pharmaceutical, and I don't think we'd ever see that day, but that's how Australia is going to handle it. So this is really mostly sort of quarantining the people that are wanting to choose vaping as an alternative tobacco harm reduction method. So in Australia, the sale of nicotine e-cigarettes is illegal without a prescription.
Yep.
Which is really sad and unfortunate. Possession of one without a prescription is also illegal, except for South Australia. How South Australia skirted the law, I don't know. They don't go into detail about that in this article. I'll just scroll to get you guys out of that.
Don't they have their own parliament or something?
Basically, it's kind of like the UK Parliament and stuff like that. So the importation of nicotine vapes from overseas websites without prescription was not criminalized until now. So they're adding that, they're lumping it in with the whole kit and caboodle. So you won't even be able to, from Australia, you can't go to Fast Tech. I don't know what this means for Paul and his connection to Health Cabin.
Right.
That was pretty much one of his primary channels for doing group buys and things like that to help people get started into vaping. So that would be seen as an importation of e-cigarettes. That's going to be now criminalized. You would have to possess a prescription now in order to order from that website. So it doesn't mean that they're completely off the board. It just means that like the average guy is like, oh, hey, I can't get it here. Let me try Health Cabin. They won't be able to import it without a prescription. So starting October 1st this year, the Australian Border Force will be able to intercept packages containing any and all forms of vape-related products. How they're going to actually validate that, I don't know if they'll have scanners or things that can try to detect it. But basically, they'll be able to confiscate packages. So you're taking a shot in the dark. You might get it through, you might not. The TGA head, I forget what that stands for, Therapeutic Goods Administration. They have some weird names for shit over there. Therapeutic Goods Administration? What does that include, like aroma oils or aromatherapy oils or whatever they like to call it? Essential oils?
Yeah.
Essential oils. Well, this yucca puck right here, John Scarrett.
He looks like one.
He is a scarrety-looking guy. Said that the ban was to prevent people from taking up nicotine vaping. According to him, he said, we've had many reports of schools, in fact, some even 7-year students, kids who are 11, 12, 13, using high levels of nicotine vapes. Clue bag, they're kids. Kids are going to experiment. I mean, we all crossed the line growing up. We tried shit we weren't supposed to do. It's not a shocker that kids are trying vapes. Doesn't mean that they're addicted or they become daily vapors. It just means that they try stuff. You know, their friend hands it to them, or they're like, hey, you heard about this vaping thing, you know, give it a shot. Here's one of them lines. Professor Scarrett said while importation was currently monitored, it was expected some 10 to 100,000 separate imports arrived every year. So their feeling is quite a bit of product was coming into the country vis-a-vis imports because they were people were having a hard time getting it elsewhere. The TGA also intends the policy to drive current nicotine vapors to GPs or general practitioners to continue to vape if they don't have a prescription. Having a prescription from a general practitioner would allow you to order a personal amount of nicotine vape products online or through an Australian-based pharmacy if your general practitioner is an authorized prescriber or has applied through the special access scheme. I think, and maybe you guys can agree, I don't know, I'll take opinions from the panel here. Do you think that it would be very difficult to prescribe to a vapor? Like, how do you know what that person needs? Like, the doctors don't know how much you vape, how little you vape, what it requires for you to stay in the pocket, so to speak. I think that the doctors are going to have a hard time accurately prescribing.
It'd be incredibly hard. Incredibly hard.
Yeah, well, some people I've seen a couple people say they just did it online.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no appointment there. How do you're not making it? You're just doing it online or getting some doctor or some physician in Australia just to go online, type in a bunch of bullshit, your name, your age, and whatever, and you got the prescription.
Well, I kind of sort of feel this way about doctors and prescribing particular things, right? you'd like to think that when you go to your doctor that they've got your best interest in mind. And I do think in many cases they probably do. Like, you say you got a stomach ache or you got some pain or something like that. They're ultimately trying to help you to feel better. But I think when it comes to something like nicotine or, say, antidepressants and things like that, I think that there's money in that, right? Like, they get paid to prescribe certain medications in order to quote unquote help you. But you hear about the stuff like opiates and stuff that hit the street. I mean, I don't think that they're just sort of like caringly prescribing opiates. I think that they're paid by the drug companies to prescribe those, right, to get those products out to those particular people. And so, unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people in America that are over drugged or getting drugs, being prescribed things that they don't necessarily need, right? False diagnosis or something like that, specifically antidepressants and things like that. There might, you just say, hey, I've been having feelings of friggin' jumping off the house or something like that. And then boom, for like the next 5 years of your life, you're on medicinal levels of some antidepressant that you probably didn't need. You were just having a bad day. Maybe all you needed was a cup of coffee. I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like with this nicotine thing that if the manufacturers or the government-approved manufacturers are in the back pockets of the government or something like that because they're going to want their products sold or something like that, that maybe it won't be as strict as you'd like to think. If I say, hey, if you don't prescribe me 50 milligram, bro, I'm going to be back on, 4 packs a day. Right. Maybe it's that flippant. I'm not sure.
How many doctors are actually seeing that as two different things? Like, people you see now are like, oh, nicotine is tobacco, and most doctors will tell you need to quit smoking. So it's like, are they going to now think nicotine is, well, you need to quit nicotine, so I'm probably going to not push this on you. I don't know.
That's what I was getting at. What happens when that first person gets a no from a doctor? What that's what I'm wondering, Tim, as well. It's like, if that person I don't know if it's in that article, but if that person gets a no, does he have other steps he can take to try it, to go see another doctor? Or I wonder how that's all going to work when someone.
I think they kind of lightly address it, and maybe this answers that question, because I do agree with Queen on this one, that that not every doctor is going to understand the benefit to that person in terms of having that particular product to help them avoid going back to smoking. They'll just see it as something equally as dangerous, and it's like, why am I bothering to prescribe this to you? Because I shouldn't be doing this anyway. Right. So I'll touch on that point here in a minute. Wow. The director of Australian Tobacco Harm Reduction said many vape users would have already stockpiled by now. So a lot of people that already vaped have probably already bunkered down, and they probably have what they need to get them to survive for a period of time. But keep in mind, whether they stockpiled or not, it was mentioned earlier that even possessing that stuff is illegal. Yeah. So you're taking someone who's basically saving their life, and then you're turning them into a criminal. So what will that mean for Australia? Will we see the jails fill up all of a sudden because vapors stockpiled and they're DIYing in their basement, and then they just happen to be going to work one day and got busted with a little bottle or something like that? It'll be interesting to see what the ramifications of all that end up being. The people most affected will be people who currently smoke and decide they want to switch to vaping, as they will find it very difficult after October 1st. Because they're not going to be able to readily obtain it. They're going to have to know they need to go to a particular type of doctor who's registered in such a way to get that prescription.
Honestly, this is where America would be without the Master Settlement Agreement. This is what we talked about 4 years ago. It was either going to Big Tobacco or Big Pharmacy. Well, Big Pharmacy obviously now owns vaping in Australia. Big Pharmacy is going to make it very acceptable. You're going to be able to Google e-cigarette doctor, like you can Google medical marijuana in the United States, and it's going to direct you to a bunch of people who have businesses, and they're going to be brokers, and it's going to broker you to a doctor, and this doctor is going to be sitting there just signing stuff, and it's just all going to be staying in the family because pharmacy owns it now. Yeah, right. He's going to manufacture it. Big Pharmacy is going to own. It's the whole thing. You're right. They're going to pay people to prescribe it.
Well, that was my question too, Tim. I mean, are they prescribing you nicotine at a certain level, and you have to stay at that level, or are they just prescribing? Yeah,
I'm going to guess it's like any other sort of medicinal treatment. I mean, even if you go in for antidepressants, like say like Wellbutrin or what was the other one that my ex-wife was on when she thought she needed shit. Well, no. The point I'm making is Lexapro. Sorry, she was on Lexapro. And so I did not know this, but Lexapro comes in different levels, right? So, I mean, there's like sub levels, like you can go in and get like, 10 milligram or 15 milligram or 20 milligram. And then there's a certain point at which you get to what they call like an actual medicinal level. And that's like something that you have to work your way up to, where I think with vapors, it might work actually the opposite, right? So if it's about tobacco harm reduction and getting away from cigarettes, you're going to go in, 3 isn't going to help you right out of the gate, right? They're not going to work you up to a medicinal level. You have to go the other way. And so doctors are going to have to think differently. It's like, hey, I'm going to need to prescribe you a higher level, right? Because somehow it has to be justified, right? They can't prescribe you for life, right? Do you think a doctor probably would be like, okay, I'm going to start you at 36. Come back and see me and give me another copay, and we're going to reassess where you're at and how much you're vaping, and maybe I move you down to a 24.
See, that's how I feel like Europe does it in their hospitals and stuff. They're truly there to advocate to you and to help you through that process, right?
Right.
That'll be your identifier, whether this is for money or for public health.
Right.
If they put in a 50 milligram and say this is your only option, you get a 90-day supply of it, take it or leave it. Or if they say, hey, listen, we have treatment plans.
Then they genuinely might care.
Yeah. You can totally, that's the identifier.
Yeah.
How scary. This is something interesting to watch.
Yeah, I really do sometimes question the motivation of a lot of doctors in terms of prescribing in that fashion. I mean, because you potentially are treating something that could take a long time to actually kind of satisfy, right? Because there are some people that are on the fast track. They're like, I want to quit smoking. Vaping is working for me. My goal is to be done and off down to 0 in the next 6 months to a year. I mean, you could pick a target. And then you've got other people. I mean, there's people like us. I mean, look at us. We're still vaping 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, but that's a lot. I think a lot of that is based on personal choice. It's like, yes, we're kind of proud. I'm down to the 3 now. I started at 24. Yeah. I'm down to 3. And so, but it's like, what's the big deal? A little nicotine ain't going to kill me. I drink a cup of coffee every morning. What's the effing problem? At least I'm not smoking, right? I'm not putting the 4,000 chemicals in my body that probably is going to lead me to my coffin, So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be viewed, because the doctor is going to be like, this could be theoretically endless as long as you're paying me to treat you. And as long as somebody's paying me to prescribe you, hey, I'm in business.
Doctors, you have doctors that have value and doctors that just want the money too. So you're going to have a mix of those. You're going to have people who are like, let's really try to use this to help you. And then you're going to have people who are like, just take the 50 Nick and get addicted and keep coming back and seeing you.
Exactly. It's like, hey, as long as I can keep getting that copay out of you. Does Australia have a public health system, or are they kind of like, are they private like us? I don't know. I don't know how that works over there. The TGA feels that there are pathways for people to access prescriptions. This is this guy, this scary guy over here. He seems to think, yeah, he kind of looks weird, right? I think that they believe that there will be pathways for people to be educated on how to find their way to these particular doctors. But it does say if general practitioners need help prescribing the products, this is a kicker, right? The Australian government has brought in telehealth systems. So John's right. So if the practitioners have no freaking clue what they're doing, then somebody can do an appointment online and probably fill out a little questionnaire, and you've got the physician behind the screen who's got a license to sign off, and the questionnaire will pump out the answer. X this, Y that, Z this. Here you go.
You can have only 3 milligram. So that's what I'm worried. That's what I'm curious about. It makes me wonder. I don't know if you guys brought it up, but it could be like a pharmaceutical war. I mean, certain doctor. I don't know if they're actually allowed to prescribe a certain brand or NIC level. That's why it doesn't make any sense how that's all going to work. You know what I'm saying? Can they? You know, are these e-liquid companies going to start sending reps to the doctor's offices and giving them free pens and T-shirts like they do now with pharmaceutical?
What about flavors? How do they recommend the flavor?
Yeah, that's what
Well, I thought that Paul kind of brought that up. I don't think that you can buy anything in Australia with nicotine in it. Don't they have to mix it their own way? They have to mix it on their own.
they have to mix it on their own. They have to buy shots.
Getting the nicotine prescribed. Anything else, they'd go
Oh my
get
gosh.
over the counter.
This is something to keep an eye on. This is something interesting.
It's scary.
Yeah.
How it's all going to work. I just
Yeah.
see the money flowing within their own system. Is what it sounds like they're trying to do. They try to keep it all in house, and that's scary.
Australia is not a fun place right now. It doesn't seem like.
No, I mean they basically are screwed all the way around the horn on this one. Bond, funny that Cap even brought this up. He's like, I feel like we're in this space where it's kind of like James Bond. The guy, this dude works at a place called Bond University. Bond University, a professor, Bond University's professor Nick Zwar. That even sounds like a Bond evil guy name. This actually said more work is being done to tool general practitioners with information on nicotine vaping. So there's doctors out there that don't even really know the first thing about it, and now all of a sudden people are going to be on the doorstep like, "Hey, man, I need a prescription. I need my Nick fix." Zwar said it's going to be an interesting few months ahead for everybody, as I think it will require a degree of patience. My takeaway on this one is I personally don't know how they will navigate this change, as general practitioners in AU have absolutely very little clue as to the successful measure for the measure for success with e-cigarettes on a user-to-user basis. I also believe that this will just drive many back to smoking, since cigarettes are far more convenient to access. Now, granted, in Australia, you kind of got to know the signs, right? Like in Australia, they can't advertise cigarettes behind the counter like they do here. Like you know where they are because they're behind these white cases that are very nondescript, or they're under the counter and stuff like that. So anyway, I think you're going to get a little bit of both. So that's that one. All right. So that's what Australia is dealing with right now. Prayers out to Australia.
Yeah.
I feel for you. All right, so this next article is a little quick. It's kind of short. I just thought it was worthy to talk about. It's an argument that we have in the vaping community quite often, and that is that I think they know what they're doing. I think that they're fully aware. I think the antis and the organizations that fight to basically take vaping off the landscape, they kind of know what's going to happen. They know what the ramifications are going to be. They fight for it under this guise like, vaping's this horrible thing, and nicotine out there in the nether is a bad thing to acquire, and save the kids and all this other stuff. But I think one of the general boomerangs on all of these ban issues is that it causes smoking rates to go right back up, because people who aren't in the game as long as we are, or have the avenues or the channels that are readily accessible to us, even back channels, people who are kind of green to the whole entire situation end up inadvertently choosing to go back to cigarettes, because either A, they're cheaper, or B, they're a little bit easier to access, and then C, in terms of experimentation and things like that, you probably see a spike in the youth going to cigarettes or trying cigarettes instead, because they just can't get e-liquid or vapes anymore. Not to endorse kids vaping, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying San Francisco experiment was indicative of that. They wanted to ban it to get the kids away from it, and then the kids just turned to smoking anyway.
Smoking.
Right. So the gateway that was never going to be there, they made their own gateway. These bans created their own gateway. This is pretty much full of quotes from different places. So, attempts by different countries to ban flavors used in vapes or e-cigarettes will force vapors to return to smoking and create a huge black market for e-cigarettes and incentivize the combustible cigarette industry, according to international consumer groups and health advocates. Charles Gardner, if you're on Twitter or you follow anybody out on Twitter, Charles Gardner's a big influence out there. He's constantly tweeting, pretty much hits every tweet that's an anti-tweet.
Yep.
If it, whether it's Stanton or anybody else, I guarantee you the first post, the first tweet response will be Charles Gardner. Charles Gardner said that that a recent poll of 2,200 U.S. respondents in the age group of 18 to, I believe it's 34, I typed 24, said that if flavors are banned to only tobacco flavor, if that's the only one that exists, 33% of them in this survey said that they will just go right back to smoking. If you only left them with tobacco flavor, that's exactly what they'll do. They are not going to vape tobacco flavor. Are you shocked by that? Anyone here?
I'm shocked by that number.
33%? You think that that's high?
I think that's. I don't know, man. I mean, everybody that I know has been vaping for quite a long time, so it's just like I don't see you, Brian, or Tom going back, and I mean, or Madison. I mean, that's 4 of us right there. That 5 of us that will never go back. I don't know. It seems kind of high.
Yeah, I have to question exactly what the involvement of these people are that are currently vaping to make that decision. That if you left them with only tobacco flavor, that they would immediately just make the decision to go back to smoking. I'm not saying that I question it too much. There's a guy at my work who, he vaped for a long time. I didn't know this. We started talking the other day. I got 2 guys at work the guys that work under me, both of them, Archie vapes and Garrett vapes. But I always see Garrett smoking. And then Archie gave him this little mini Aegis that he was using, and then it was on the fritz or something like that. So they both went to the vape shop, and it turned out that they're not allowed to do any refunds or returns. Trying to make a long story short here. But then, so Garrett went back and he started smoking. So I'm not pushing Garrett to get off of cigarettes. If, that's his personal choice to smoke. But as we were talking, I was like, hey, man, look, I know that Aegis didn't work out for you. It broke or whatever. I'm like, but just talk to me and I'll find something for you. Like, I have channels. I'll find something that'll work for you. Like, what do you want? Just a sub-ohm sort of internal battery kind of rig or something like that. And he's like, no, man. He's like, I'm probably just going to have to go back and just get out like all my old stuff. And like, it turns out like he's got like mech mods and RTAs and RDAs just in boxes at home. So I have to wonder, like, why did he throw in the towel on all that stuff? But anyway, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I'm just saying maybe he's indicative of that type of person that, if all you left them was tobacco, maybe they would just go right back to smoking. I don't know. That 33%, that is a pretty high number. But that's not 100%. There was about 39% that said that they would figure out a way to continue on vaping. Gardner also pointed out that data from San Francisco's real-world experiments show that smoking skyrocketed in San Francisco following the 2018 ban. Results of the U.S. study were published on July 31st. Show that e-cigarette users indicate low support for e-cigarette sales restrictions. Well, duh. Nobody would be happy about that. Like, anybody know a vapor that's happy that the flavors might be gone?
Yeah, me.
Anybody?
Anybody?
I don't know anybody.
Bueller?
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to, what was all that beeping? So these are just some quotes that were out. I know it's hard to read. I mean, I'll just read some of them off. Dr. John Oyston, an anesthesiologist from the University of Toronto, this is Canada, said vape flavor bans in several cities in the United States, in fact, boosted tobacco sales and created an underground market for e-cigarettes that are not regulated by the government. That's another big point, is that if the government creates this black market, that's a lot of money that's going to not go back to them. So it's just going to be this thriving black market where they're not going to be able to tap into that revenue, right? Nancy Lucas, co-director of government, I can't say this word, Aotearoa Vapors
You
Community.
can do it. You can
They're
do
New
it, Tim.
Zealand. It's from New Zealand. I'll just leave it at that. They're called AVCA. I'm going to quit trying to pronounce that word. Said New Zealand's vape flavor ban for general retailers starting the 11th of August 2021 would cost lives and make it harder for adults desperate to quit smoking. A full range of cigarettes and tobacco products remain widely available in supermarkets, service stations, and dairies. Yet from 11 August, adults couldn't readily access their favorite vape flavors from those same retailers. Full access to deadly combustible cigarettes and limited access to safer alternatives is a shocking public health policy, she said. Chris Snowden, head of lifestyle economics at Institute of Economic Affairs, said U.S. billionaire Michael Bloomberg put aside $160 million to ban e-cigarette flavors in the United States and other countries. We know that an e-cigarette flavor ban amounts to de facto ban on vaping for most e-cigarette users, he said. I do feel we have gone backward. So there are a lot of big names and big people out there that want to fight for vaping and are confident that it's going to drive people just any removal of flavors from the market or a ban on vaping in general or leaving us with tobacco will create a negative health benefit for a lot of people. But if you want to read that one, I'll give the link to Brian and put it up if you want to read. And this is people from different countries too, and it's a general consensus across the board. So there's that one. I guess that was the happiest one I could find. People that are fighting for us. And last but not least, and we brought up the state on several occasions, there is a call to action going on right now. I think it just kind of hit the airwaves today. Denver, Colorado.
Denver.
If you're in the Denver area, they are moving forward with their flavor ban. The bill has currently been introduced. Again, we try to make it beneficial for people to understand that when you go on CASA's website, it'll probably take a little bit more than just filling this out and being done with it. But CASA does make it quite easy for you. So there is going to be a public hearing. The Denver City Council is moving forward with a proposal to ban the sale of flavored tobacco and vapor products. While no agenda is posted, CASA has learned that a hearing debate on the ordinance is expected on Wednesday, October 6th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. with the Safety and Housing Committee. But here's your chance in Denver to speak up. And like Captain was saying, he's like, advocating is great, CASA is great. You can answer these calls to action, but the point is getting people motivated to actually follow through on this stuff. You can venture over to CASA and you can follow. I didn't realize my address was in there. Please don't look. No, I'm joking. I don't care.
I know where you live.
Everybody rewind the video and pause. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
You're going to get a guest.
Exactly. So basically, they create or scribe a letter that you can just sort of follow through on and just use that form letter. I think we did. Matthew brought it up last week on the show. As he said, they don't really read these too much. The council members, the senators, they like personal interaction. So you can say, I'm not discouraging you. I think the more people communicate this and send it out, it's about numbers. It makes impact. But I think equally you need to reach out because basically at the bottom of this, normally at the bottom of this, if it's demographical to you, it'll tell you who this is going to. So right. I'm gonna guess
showing you because you're not you don't live in Colorado.
No, and I'm guessing it's probably going to a general email box, probably for the Safety and Housing Committee too. I'm not quite sure. It's kind of hidden in the background. But if you can somehow attend this October 6th meeting, just for the record, October 6th is probably even says it, and I'm an idiot and I'm not reading it. That would be a Wednesday. So if you got, if you got some free,
a week from today,
right? So if you got some free, go ahead.
Can I add going off of what you're talking about with getting involved and being advocates and showing up and stuff, and if you can get to Colorado or if you can get to this Denver spot, Queen and I, that's where we learned our advocacy was from those guys. And Amanda Wheeler is one heck of a person to learn it from. If you're not part of another state group or if you're just wanting to get involved and you can make your way to Denver for this is one of the top moments that you could say, hey, I learned, I was a part of something, I can go and make an impact from here.
Yep. So yeah, and so we try to bring these calls to action to point on the show because a lot of people sometimes don't see this stuff or don't go over to CASA all the time and check it readily or frequently. So we're just putting this information out to you. If you're from the Denver area and Colorado in general, and you want to fight, here's a good place to start. You can get started here, and then try to be part of that agenda on October 6th and state how you strongly oppose.
Matthew. I love Matthew. Do it while you're sitting on the toilet.
There you go. Hey, it doesn't matter where you do it from as long as you do it, right?
That's right.
Yep. So at any rate, there's your call to action. There is your advocacy for the week. Coloradians, follow through. Anyhow, that's your news and advocacy for the day, and I'm at my limit. Thank
At
you.
my limit. Again, we want to thank Captain Nathaniel, Cloud Queen, for joining us again. I have all the links to everything that they belong to: Vape Radio, their Twitter account, their Facebook group page. I put that in there as well as the website. Go check them out. Give them a follow on Twitter. Get over there and give them a follow on Twitter. Let's blow their Twitter up, and we're gonna end with you guys. You guys have anything you guys want to get out there? Cap?
Tune in and listen to Vape Radio.
Yep.
Yes.
Keep on fighting. Keep on doing what you know what's right. We're adults and we have choices. Don't worry about the other stuff. Just do what you got to do to be healthy.
I want a shout out on Vape Radio for Frank Sinatra. John Troncali.
We got you for sure. Absolutely. We appreciate what you guys all do. We tune in every Wednesday. It was super awesome being here, being with you guys, and just please keep on doing what you're doing because there's not a lot of opportunities for people to tune in and talk the talk and see what's going on inside of the industry, and means a lot to a lot of people, and I'm sure you guys don't hear it nearly enough. So thank you from us and Vape Radio and the vape industry for staying true and staying strong with everybody.
Being a voice.
Really awesome.
Do you guys have is there a chat part to Vape Radio? Can you guys comment? Or you see, can people comment while they're doing it? Is that something you've been working on, or?
Not
We
live.
had it.
We used to, yeah.
We had it and it
Used
got
to, right?
down controlled, but we don't have it at the moment. We're working on a couple of updates. They keep trying to encourage us to go live on video while we're doing our sets, and it's just, I don't know.
It's weird. It is
There's some
weird.
downtime when we're
music
playing
thing,
music
too,
and
yeah.
stuff, and then
Yeah.
bass and everything gets all messy. So
Yeah, it could get.
it's honestly, it's Facebook, Vape Radio Backstage, and then the socialbleed.com. You guys will hear about it. It's going to be a great place. It's where everybody's going to be, and we're all just going to be having a chat.
Yeah, I put links to that as well out there. Tommy Boy, would you like to say goodbye?
I'm gonna keep it extremely short and simple this week.
No,
Thanks to Captain and the Queen for being here this week. Thanks to everybody in chat, and the FDA ain't shit.
Maddie, it's so good to see you back.
Every so often.
Every so often.
Absent makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah. She's
At
busy.
least for me.
She's busy. She's got a newborn, so she's busy. She's been
She's
busy.
not newborn anymore. I mean, she's
Well,
5 months old.
5
Yeah.
is still new. Still like it still has the new car smell, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that girl she's got some thunder thighs on her. That's one chunky baby now.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to meet you guys. And other fellow cannabis lovers. So,
Yes.
and hopefully tomorrow we get some
Good news. You get some good news. It'll be good. To
some
see
good
that.
news. So, vaping industry, take a lesson from the cannabis industry. It is worth the fight. It might be long. It might be hard. There might be some jail time, but it's worth it in the end.
There you
Win
go.
over Amazon. We got you.
Yeah. Go Bezo. Go Bezo. Brian, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure to have Cloud back on again and talking on Captain Nasty. That was actually it's a really great treat, actually. Also, if you guys need people to be in your chat. You might know some people now who could possibly help you out. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
But yeah, I just want to thank everyone tuning in. And just keep doing what everyone's doing, and just keep talking about everything, and just keep pushing forward.
And visit North Dakota, please. Visit North Dakota.
They're lonely up there.
I
is lonely. I be lonely.
Ryan needs friends.
Yeah, Ryan needs friends. And our resident rocker, Tim.
Yeah, I'll do my best to keep it short and sweet. Cloud Queen, Captain Nasty, love you guys being in the chat every week, and even better when you're on the show. Thank you guys for both being here and doing what you do. Appreciate you 1,000,000,000%. So if it wasn't for people like you, there's no people like us, right? So beyond that, thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks to everybody on the show. Got questions, comments, anything you want to talk about? I'm still waiting for people to do my new bumper. Still waiting. Fucking 4 weeks later, we haven't gotten one bumper yet. I think we got one. Anyhow.
Got one? Yeah.
Two. Thanks, Brian. I'm glad you're librarying all the bumpers that are coming in, just flooding in like crazy. Anyhow, we'll see you guys next week, and thank you very much.
Thank you again, Captain and Cloud Queen, for joining us. Thank you, everybody out there in chat. Everybody, all the links for their stuff, for their social media stuff is out there. Tune in to Vape Radio. I love the fact that it's just all genres. You'll have fun. You'll hear songs maybe you've never heard before. So get out there and listen to them, and keep advocating and never stop. It'd be, I was thinking about this the other day. If everything just worked out, what the hell would we talk about?
Oops.
Mahjong tables.
No, seriously, if everything just worked out, what would we talk about? I don't know.
Crazy hydroponic garden in the background.
I like what Captain Nasty said as to what we would talk about.
What were you talking about? Barbecue?
No, he said boobs.
Boobs. I could do 6 hours on boobs. No, I'm kidding. All right, everybody. We'll see everybody next week. Same time, same place. Thank you again, Captain and Cloud Queen, for being with us. And we'll see everybody next week.
Peace.